confident are you in that 18 car to rebound and really put it together again this weekend here at Texas?
Yeah, just unfortunate there with our practice crash that we had. It kind of puts us a little bit more behind the 8 ball than we'd like to be. So I hate it that happened for all my guys and all the work that they've already put into that primary car, and now having to switch to a backup car that was not the things that we wanted to start off practice. So I didn't even get a lap on that thing. But all in all, I know I got a strong group and a great group of guys, and those that will dig in as deep as they need to in order to make sure that we do everything that we can to prepare and get ourselves back to where we need to be for being competitive here this weekend. So, as far as what we look for here, obviously we want to have a good, solid day. We'd like to win the race, obviously, and punch our ticket and just move right on through to Homestead. But if we can't have that, a good, solid top 5 is kind of what we're looking for.
Okay, we're going to open the floor up for questions. We'll start here with Claire and work our way around.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Last week after the race, you were a bit frustrated, and I know Joe Gibbs' team members got together. Carl said earlier that you guys, you'll have things go on, but you guys mend it really quickly. Do you feel mended? Do you feel like how you were after the race, feeling like maybe you could have won if you weren't working together so much? You can talk about the teamwork or what came down this week?
Yeah, we had our meetings, normal Tuesday meetings, stuff like that, and we're able to sit down and kind of go over some things that we saw different amongst ourselves and our different situations that we have, and that's the thing that we always do each and every week. We all try to strive the best we can as teammates to help one another, but then there's also the strategy that you have to be able to go out there and perform to the best for your team and to go out there and win the championship. So this format obviously lends itself to a different situation than maybe in years past, and maybe I was expecting a little bit different in that than what transpired in the race on Sunday. But we talked, forgive and forget, move on, and here we are.
Okay, we're going to go next to Kenny, then to Drew, and then to Lee.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Kyle, can you address what exactly happened to cause you to get into the wall? And also, when you've had to go to backups in the past, how has that typically turned out for you guys?
Yeah, we got into turn 3 and car felt great, loaded up really good, got back to the throttle, and then got to the bumps that are over there in 3 and 4. Felt like it bottomed out a little bit and kind of got me up the track. And then from there, the whole car just kind of came out of the track, and I got loose and couldn't get it checked up or slowed down in time before it slapped the wall. So, speeds are really high here at Texas, and when you lose that grip, typically it happens in a hurry, and just kind of got away from me there. So, wish that I would have had maybe taking a little bit more of it easy, but, I really wasn't even trying that hard, to be honest with you. So it was just kind of a shock that happened. But, as far as going to backup cars in years past, I haven't had that situation happen to me ever. I don't think I've ever crashed on the first lap of getting out there on the racetrack before, but we've right-sided cars before here or there, and I always had a running joke with one of our guys in the body shop that comes to the racetrack on Sundays that any time that he had to put a right-side wrap on a car, it meant good things. So, going to a backup car, I don't think it's going to hurt us any.
Going to go to Drew on the left, and then to Lee, and then to Bob.
Yeah, Kyle, Drew Davison with the Four Star Telegram. It seems like as a reigning champ, you're kind of flying under the radar. Do you feel that way, and do you kind of like that, or are you surprised by it given what you did last year?
Yeah, we are kind of flying under the radar, I feel like, which is fine. We don't need to be the ones that are flashy. We've been able to put ourselves in the right position to kind of stay in the right points battle of what we've got going on to not have to be flashy. Harvick kind of gets set behind a little bit. He's got to go out and be flashy. He has to win in order to be able to prove himself to move on through. It's kind of when their backs are against the wall. So, last year I felt like we kind of flew underneath the radar as well, too, a little bit. A lot of people were talking about Jeff Gordon, and respectfully so, because it was his final year and having a chance to go race for a championship at Homestead, and Truex being the underdog and being a single-car operation from Denver, and then having Harvick from being the previous year's champion, people kind of expected him to be able to go out there and be in the same situation. So, we just try to do what's best for us. We don't necessarily worry about what our critics say or about what other people say. We try to make sure that we're staying to plan, and so far we have been, and it's getting us through.
Go to Lee, to Bob, to Dustin, and then to Daniel.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Has the way the chase has unfolded with this new format kind of forced the Gibbs cars to do the teammate thing that they're doing now. And if that's the case, and listening to your frustration on the radio the last 2 weeks about wanting to race and how counterintuitive that is for a driver, how difficult it is for you not to just be out there balls out. Has this format kind of outdone its usefulness? The way the chase is now, where other series just points race to the finish.
Anytime you get any sort of format, we're always going to figure out a way to instinctively do what we need to do to move on through. And with Talladega being the way that it was, we didn't have to race because we were in a good points position, and we were able to do what we needed to do to move on through there. Martinsville last week, the frustration kind of set in just because I felt like the 20 was probably the fastest Gibbs car there all day. He led the most laps, and Denny and I were pretty equal, but it seemed like the 11 was just a little slower on that last run than he had been much of the day. And we just weren't given the chance to go up there and race that 48 car for the win to see if there's a big if either of us had a shot to give anything to the 48. But this chase format, anytime that there's been changes in the format, we always try to figure out ways of what we need to do in order to prepare ourselves as teams, individual teams. The 18 is different than the 11, the 11 is different than the 20 and the 19. So we just feel like what we've got going on right now is what we feel is best for us.
But if it doesn't promote racing, does that defeat the purpose?
Talladega, we weren't, our intentions were to race. We just weren't given the opportunity to race because there was never a big crash. We never had the opportunity that we needed to. If there was a big crash that eliminated 10 guys, maybe 3 of them were chase cars, that locked us in, boom, we go race. You know what I mean? And we get the best thing that we need for our finish, for our teams. But, next year, you're not going to have that. So let's stop dwelling on the past of what just happened, and we'll focus on the future of what's going to be an exciting third round of going to Talladega and everybody having to race because we don't know what our point situations are for that third event.
Go to Bob, to Dustin, to Daniel, and the Wolfie.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Do you go into the chase or maybe even in the season knowing that at some point you're going to be mad at one of your teammates? I mean, is that just part of life as a race car driver in this chase?
Yeah, it is. You're mad at somebody every week for something. Somebody might cut you off on pit road. Somebody may hold you up on a restart. Somebody may do something else. I don't even know what. But, yeah, there's going to be instances where you're mad at other drivers. You're mad at your teammates. You express those frustrations. And I guess in for me, it would have been best to probably talk to my teammates first and kind of figure out what the whole concept was there and the whole idea as to why what happened. But looking back on it now, we've just got to focus forward and making sure that we all try to continue to work together as best we can because we know the reason why we're in this predicament is because of our teamwork and our relationships and our camaraderie that we have at the race shop each and every week that gets us to the point of being as good as we are on Sunday.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. What are your expectations of your teammates now on the track as the race progresses?
Race hard. Go for the win. Do what you need to do.
Go next to Daniel and then the Wolfgang.
Daniel McFadden, NBC Sports. We have 3 races left in Tony Stewart's Sprint Cup career, and you're one of the few people that got to spend time with him as a teammate. What is a quintessential memory you have from that year?
There's that word again.
Of that year you spent with him, working with him and racing against him as a teammate.
When Tony and I, when I first started Cup racing, didn't necessarily see eye to eye very well, and we kind of had a few run-ins here or there, but we kind of, mellowed that out a little bit and got a good relationship going after that point. But then when we became teammates, it was the best thing for us. We really got a good chance to sit down, talk to each other each and every week at our team meetings, understand one another, be a huge part of the success of Joe Gibbs Racing in that year. And so we got a really good chance of learning each other's personalities and seeing how similar we kind of are. And since then, the couple of years that he was away from Joe Gibbs Racing when he went to SHR, it continued on. Our relationship that was good continued on. So that was a really nice feeling. And obviously, I thought Tony was one of the best teammates that I've had. We had a great relationship while he was there. And, it's going to be kind of, I guess he's going to be missed, obviously, on my behalf, being out there on the racetrack. So it's going to be disappointing to see him go, but yet he's going to have fun in the things that he's going to do in the future, I'm sure.
Do you have a favorite on-track racing against him memory?
Working together or against each other? The favorite against each other memory was, I guess, Las Vegas. I think it was 2007. I was kind of holding him up for a little bit because my car wasn't great on the short run. And he was mad at me for it. He tried to wreck me off of turn 2. He put himself in the fence, and then I drove away. I finished second that day, and I think he finished 9th or 11th or something. And I heard that Zippy got really mad at him for doing that. And then the best memory that I have of us working together was probably February 2008 when we first became teammates, and it was the way we worked together at the Daytona 500. I mean, we stayed together. We knew to work with each other. We were on each other's bumper all day long, and essentially that's probably what cost us, either one of us, the race victory at the Daytona 500 in 2008. Was we didn't want to vary from one another at all. I stayed with him, and the outside blew our doors off at the end with Ryan Newman winning the race.
Next to Wolfie.
Wolfgang Monser from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. Kyle, I have a technical question just to verify it, because backup car doesn't exist in any kind of racing over in Europe. Does it mean when you go to a backup car, this car is already set up identical like your primary car, or you have to work again with the setup?
Yeah, it is. We rolled right off the truck, and it was, really, really close. We, of course, still changed the primary springs from the primary car because it's the exact rates that the guys are looking for and stuff like that. All 4 shocks come off. So it's essentially just riding on ride springs and shocks to and from the racetrack in the hauler. But, as far as everything else, the control arms, the suspension, the way the rear end's set in the car, everything like that, it's all mocked up exactly the same as a primary car. So, people always say that there's a reason why there's a primary and a backup car, because one's better than the other. I would agree with that sentiment, I guess, a little bit, because I know what we do at Kyle Busch Motorsports. But I feel like at Joe Gibbs Racing, these guys, I mean, it's just like engines. They're all sent out of the building built within 5 horsepower of each other. Well, all these cars are built probably within 5 downforce numbers of one another. So they're very similar, and I wouldn't be worried for us that we are at any disadvantage.
Holly?
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Could you just briefly address what is it like for you guys to, how aware are you of teammates? I mean, does it go against any sort of natural thing you have as a racer to have to be so cognizant of where they are on the track and how what you do is going to affect them? Because really racing seems like such an individual sport in terms of the drivers. I understand it takes a team to put the team together, but.
Yeah, it does. I guess being an owner has its detriments. I know what it's like being an owner at Kyle Busch Motorsports, and I expect all of my team guys and drivers to work well with one another and to respect each other out on the racetrack and to give and take for each other. If there's one that's faster than the other, I'd like to see the faster one be able to go forward, but obviously it's different at Joe Gibbs Racing, being a driver and having to understand how the rest of us drivers think and what Joe expects of us. So, I wouldn't say I was on the up and up of that. I just kind of was more so on the team owner side, where you want to see, when you shoot one bullet and that bullet miss, you're going to fire 2 and 3 and see if they can go get the job done, right? So, I was just under the impression, a different impression, that's all. But as far as what all of us do as far as racing against each other, there's times where, I'm aware of what's going on with my teammates. I might restart behind one of them, and I could make it 3 wide getting into the corner or down the back stretch and put them in the middle and be in a bad spot. But, I try to choose not to. I try to, give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to go faster in the next corner and we're going to move on through the field together. But when it comes down to this chase format, and it's every man for himself and every point for himself, I mean, you look at Denny. The reason Denny did what he did was because now he has a 3rd place finish, which is anything can change here or at Phoenix, but he's got a 3rd place finish, which is the best of Matt and I if there was a tiebreaker situation. So that's what Denny was looking for, and I get it. I understand it. I didn't in the time frame in which we were racing one another, but because I was more so focused on one of us trying to go get the win and trying to still keep all of us eligible for Homestead. But Denny did what he needed to do for the 11 team, which is respectable and understandable.
Okay. Kyle, we really appreciate you taking the time today, and good luck on Sunday.
Okay, thanks.
Take care, bud.